What a wonderful world. Skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, handsome faces, people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? But they're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, and I watch them grow and learn so much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Thank you, guys. If you want to join in the pledge.
Make me pray. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nancy will lead us in prayer.
Please pray with me. Almighty God, there are so many people who live in darkness as a result of abusive relationships. Help them to recognize that abuse can take many forms, not just physical, but mental, verbal, and emotional as well. Enlighten them and provide them with wisdom to see when things are not right within their relationships, where frustration and confusion exist, and even when they feel powerless or fearful, grant them your peace. Show them that, as a person, they deserve to be respected, to feel safe and valued. And teaching God, we pray that you open our ears, our eyes, and our hearts to be more aware, outreaching, and supportive to people in abusive situations, so that they won't feel alone and know that someone cares. Let us love them as you have loved us. Amen.
Thank you, Nancy. We'll have introductions with Lee.
Get over it. Okay, Mr. Eric Waddy, I believe you have a guest, sir.
I guess today is Mr. Lynn Gowan, TSI Trash.
Good. Anybody else have a guest that we missed? All right, thank you, and join us again soon.
Whoa, Lee. Bring that down a little. Alrighty. Tomorrow we're gonna have our board meeting at Denny's at 7 a.m. Everybody come because you do get free breakfast. It will be a great time. Today for birthdays, we have Mike Finello, October 10th. And for our anniversaries, we have Nate Murray, 6 years. Oh, good job, Nate. I have an announcement for the Kiwanis. Their Oktoberfest fundraiser is here tonight. It's $10. As you can smell cooking, their special plate is bratwurst, German red cabbage, German sauerkraut, and pineapple with caraway seeds, boiled potatoes, and a roll. This is a drive-by and pickup event. We're gonna have an announcement from Dave Foster about Upward Basketball.
I just wanted to let everybody know that starting October 1st until the 31st of October, Upward Basketball is open for registration. If you're not familiar with it, it's a K through 6th grade program. It's a Christian non-denominational program where everybody gets to play at least half of the game. It's not really for club type basketball where people are living and breathing basketball. It's for kids maybe that haven't even played before. There's nothing more fun on a Saturday morning than to watch kindergartners scramble and have a scrum trying to play basketball, but it's really a lot of fun. So there's registration open for your kids, grandkids, great-grandkids. They're always looking for volunteers, coaching, refereeing, even concession stand volunteers. The program actually has been around for many, many years. It's an international program. And it's highly organized. So if you've never participated in it before, there's even a lesson plan for each week on how to conduct practice, what skills to teach the kids. And if anybody's played ball, or maybe if you haven't, but you're a fan, the kids they're like sponges to pull over in and learn skills. And it's fun to see them grow over the 8 weeks. Practices begin the 1st of January. And the season goes for 8 games about through the middle of March. And it's really a great program. Actually, it's in its 16th year at the Twin Falls Nazarene Church over by Canyon Ridge High School. And there's some flyers on the table. Oh, let me just stand up and read into this. Has anybody seen on the news recently where the giant Idaho potato truck was pulled over in Southern California? Okay, by the California Highway Patrol. It turns out the driver of that truck has a Rotary Club connection. When I was involved in the Meridian Rotary Club, this gentleman in the middle here, his name is Stingray Rob. That's his real name. That's on his birth certificate. His parents had an issue about Corvettes and still do. So anyways, he grew up and has become a race car driver. And we had him at our Meridian Rotary Club about 3 years ago, just before COVID. And he was looking for sponsorships, which he did gain in that meeting, which is kind of nice. Not from the club, but from some private people. And he's a very, very successful young man at 21 years of age. He's been promoted to the Andretti Auto Sports Club for driving. So he's racing right now at the level below IndyCar. It's called Indy Lights. Very, very successful, incredible young man. So, and they did give him a ticket. He was going a little faster than the speed limit. Plus, I think the potatoes supposedly by the CHP said it wasn't secured properly. And there was some other 12,000 pounds over. Well, the 12,000 pounds over. So they looked at the weather on it.
Thank you, Dave. We still have 2 of the shirts from Jazz in the Canyon available. We have a medium that's tan and a white one that's large. And maybe if you guys don't want it, you want to give it to your children so you can tell them what Jazz in the Canyon is, since we no longer do it, even though we should. We have another visitor, or our visitor, Lynn. He's from the Blue Lakes Rotary Club, and he's here to represent their club in Pints for Polio. The Pints for Polio will be at Coda on October 25th from 6 p.m. to close. All the beer sales will go to Polio Plus, brewed by Coda. Do you want to say anything, Lynn?
No, there's not much to say. I mean, it's the 25th, like I said, he said he would do, he'll donate $1 of beer, all Kodo beers from 6 p.m.
About 6 p.m.
I'm an early morning person, but I don't know.
Eric, I'll see you there.
Yeah, so hopefully all 3 clubs will participate that are here, or even some of the other clubs. But anyway, we'll all be there. I'll be there at 6, and hopefully we'll raise some more money for polio.
Yeah, that's a great fundraiser. If you guys can go, definitely get out there. Thank you, Lynn. We still have our GoFundMe campaign running for our bathroom project. Please share with others and bring awareness to clubs because we need the community support. We've received 12% of our $100,000 campaign. Does anybody have any good news today? It will cost you $1. All right, next time I'll leave that part out till after the good news is said. I'll go ahead and let Taylor introduce our speaker today. Oh yeah, we're gonna do raffle in the middle of the meeting. So if you have your tickets, go ahead and get them out. Good call, Kevin. I know today we got $35. I'm not sure what it was last week. Plus 80? We're cooking. Ticket number 1 is 265190. 190. Any takers?
Danny.
It's Danny. Oh. The next ticket's 265189. Danny. All right. You want me to come over there so you can draw the ticket? I can come over. He got an 8 of spades. That's a winner. Thank you for taking those 2 cards out of there so we can potentially get to a winner.
I lost twice.
All right, Taylor.
You won before you lost.
That's true. Good try, Danny, good try. Thanks for coming, everybody. Today's speaker, Angel Chapman McDavid, with Voices Against Violence, a thing that we're all pretty familiar with. But here she is to share with us a little bit about what's going on there and some new stuff that's going on too. So please give it up for Angel.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me this afternoon and thank you for a wonderful lunch. I appreciate that. I think I need the clicker.
Did I take it back?
You took it from me.
Oh, okay.
So while we're waiting on that, I just want to tell you a little bit about me. I'm the executive director. I'm new. I've been on the job for 90 days now. Actually, I think today is day 91. And I started July 13th and came here from Cleveland, Ohio. So the reason I came was for Voices Against Violence. We found each other and it has been amazing since the day I arrived. The 1,900-mile trek across the country was quite interesting. Of course, the scenery was beautiful, but the drive was long. We only drove during the day and stayed in hotels at night, but it was definitely an adventure. So that's what my husband Ken and I say, that we are definitely on an adventure. Okay. So also to give you a little bit about my background, I am married to Ken. I have 5 children. I have 16 grandchildren. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, actually a small suburb of Cleveland called Shaker Heights. I graduated from Shaker Heights High School a very long time ago, and then went off to school at Ohio University in Athens, Ohio, just about an hour south of Ohio State University. I stayed there for a couple of years and then, you know, life kind of got in the way and I started a family and then got married kind of out of order. And continued to grow my family and raise the family, put them through high school and college and all that good stuff. And I found that I was the only one that hadn't finished my college degree. So after I empty nested, I decided it was time for me to take care of me, go back to school. And I went down to North Carolina A&T State University in Greensboro, North Carolina, where my father lives, and went to school there, finished school there, and then decided to go to law school. So I went to Florida A&M University, College of Law in Orlando, Florida. So I spent 5 years in Orlando. While I was there in law school, I started working for a domestic violence organization called Harbor House. And I found my passion. I was in my second year of law school and decided that I did not want to litigate. I wanted to work in community service and nonprofit leadership. So I got experience at Harbor House, worked for a law firm as a law firm administrator for a little while, and then decided to come back home, go back into nonprofit with Akron Urban League, one of the many branches of the Urban League, and served as their director of HR administration and operations. At that point, I was picked up by New One Shaker, a small grassroots organization, to serve as their executive director. We focused on educational equity for students and families of Shaker schools. And from there, here I am in Twin Falls with Voices Against Violence. So that just gives you a little bit of my background. I am my mother's only child. So she's really missing me. She's still in Cleveland. And my father's oldest of 4. So I am going to get started on Voices Against Violence. There you go. So we are a local nonprofit and we serve survivors of domestic abuse and survivors of violent crimes. So oftentimes people think we only service domestic abuse survivors, but also those that suffer from violent crimes. It could be stalking, it could be harassment, it could be a variety of things. So it's not just domestic abuse. Our staff can, and I'm really not going to read off of here. I just want this information to be available to you. But we started with a staff of 11, including me, when I first started on July 13th. But since then, because of some new, some announcements I have to make, so I guess I might as well make them now so it makes sense. Since I started, we have opened a new shelter here in Twin, and we have also acquired another DV agency out of the Burley-Rupert area. So we've expanded our operations. So we've gone from a staff of 11 to a staff of 17. So we are really in growth mode right now, which is why you see all of the staff members that we have there. No, other way. Okay, so okay, there you go. So you can see some of the different things that we deal with. We're all mandated reporters. So in the event of child abuse or elder abuse or anything like that going on that our case managers may discover during appointments with survivors, we have to let them know that we are mandated reporters for this type of activity, and we can move forward. Oh, it worked. Okay, and we do serve men and women, and a lot of people are not aware of that. Because domestic abuse is most prevalent against women, a lot of people in the community think we only serve women, but we actually serve men and women. And though men suffer at a lesser percentage of time than women, there are actual incidents of domestic abuse against men. There are various types of victimization, including bullying and sexual assault. We deal with a lot of sexual assault cases, unfortunately. And in those situations, our advocates will actually accompany a victim or a survivor to the hospital where they get they're called SANE examinations. They're actual very special, unfortunately, they're very invasive examinations because of the nature of what has occurred to the survivor. But we do go with them and advocate for them and support them through those processes. In addition to that, we provide things like emergency shelter. We also have a 90-day shelter program. So what happens, just to kind of walk you through when a client calls us, they'll call our hotline. Once they've called the hotline and they've explained what's going on with them, oftentimes they're in a situation where they're trying to flee a dangerous situation. So in that instance, we would get them into emergency shelter immediately. We don't go to their house and pick them up because we're not putting any of our advocates in danger, but we will send a taxi or make other arrangements, help them to make other arrangements to get from point A to point B. Once we get them into emergency shelter and they're safe, then we schedule a case management appointment with them. So they're assigned a particular case manager. They meet with that case manager, usually within a few days, certainly no longer than a week. But within a few days, they meet with that case manager. They also meet with our shelter intake specialist. That person determines whether they qualify for our 90-day shelter program. In most instances, they do qualify. So we then move them from emergency shelter into our 90-day shelter program. And I just explained that we've opened a new shelter and it's not communal. So it's not like one big house. It's actual individual units that are like little apartments that each family gets to be in. And we're really excited about this because it allows the families to have a more normal type environment. They get to do their cooking, they get to do their laundry, and they have private space, and they don't have to be intermingled with other survivors and other people that are affected by trauma. So we feel that it's a very good model. Once they do that and they've gotten moved into the 90-day shelter program, during those 90 days, they consistently have appointments with their case manager. And that's to deal with the different needs of the client. Some clients need counseling. A lot of clients need counseling. They need food. They need clothing. Oftentimes there may even be a pregnancy involved, so they need to be prepared for childbirth. They need medical attention. They need dental attention. Just a variety of things. They may need help getting children registered or re-registered for school because it might mean a change in schools. So we assist them with all of that and help provide them resources to be able to get the things they need. The other thing that's a big part of that case management is helping them to secure housing that would be either transitional or permanent housing once they leave our 90-day shelter program, because we don't want to just drop them off after 90 days and say, oh, you're on your own. So what we do is we help them find apartments or rental houses or, whatever type of situation works best for them. And then what we do is we assist them financially for the first few months to help them get on their feet. So we'll assist with rental payments, with security deposits, utility deposits, things like that. So a lot of you probably know where we're located, but there was a change before I came on board. We were located on 2nd Avenue, but it was a different location. Now we're located at 302 2nd Avenue South, right in the White House that is on the corner of 2nd Avenue South and Idaho Street. That used to be our shelter, and we had separate administrative offices. But during COVID, we closed the administrative offices and needed to close the shelter because of COVID. And so we moved our administrative offices to this 302 2nd Avenue South location and converted the shelter to our community space and admin offices. So that's where clients come, and that's where people drop off donations. So if you have donations, you can drop them off during regular business hours, Monday through Friday at 302 2nd Avenue South. So that's where our clients come to meet with us and to meet with their case managers. And that's where our administrative offices are. We do have a 24-hour hotline. So of course, domestic violence and sexual violence and other types of violence doesn't only occur during normal business hours. So therefore, we are a 24-hour operation. So we always have someone answering after hours. We always have someone on call, so that in the event that they need to go to the hospital with someone at 3 in the morning, we have people ready and available for that. We also have support groups where the clients get to come to the community center and they get to meet in groups and support one another. So it's kind of like you have individual counseling that we offer in addition to group therapy. We provide dinners for our shelter clients every day. We actually make dinner for them. They get hot meals every day. That will become a little less and less with them moving into the new shelter facility, because now they'll have the ability to cook for themselves and make the meals that they want for themselves. But in the event that there's any problem with that, or for those that are not in the new shelter units, we will still provide dinners for them every day. We're really big on self-determination. And self-determination gives the client the opportunity to determine for himself or herself what is best as far as what's next, what needs to be done, what resources they need to tap into. We assist them as advocates, and we're all advocates for them, regardless of our specific titles. We want the advocate to assist them, to empower them, to support them, but not make decisions for them. So we really, really believe self-determination is very important, not only in the midst of a crisis, but moving forward as well. You can see we offer various classes, parenting classes, or we refer them to a parenting class. Help them with budgeting. We bring different people in from financial institutions to help them learn how to create a budget, to learn how to take care of themselves in a holistic manner. You can see that 2021-2022 fiscal year, we had 12,260 crisis calls answered. So you can see we're really busy, 16,000 plus nights of shelter, 858 hours of individual therapy sessions, and 108 group therapy sessions. So you can see we stay pretty busy. Now, with the expansion of our services, we are in Twin Falls, Jerome, Gooding, Lincoln, Minidoka, and Cassia counties. So we're essentially covering all of the Magic Valley for survivors of domestic abuse and sexual violence and other types of violence. There are other DV agencies across the state, and basically the DV agencies are kind of regionalized so that we don't really step on each other's toes, but there are times when we collaborate and work together for a particular client. You can see here that 1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence in her lifetime, and 1 in 7 men will experience severe intimate partner violence as well. 1 in 15 children are exposed to domestic violence each year. And you're 3 to 4 times more likely to become, these people are 3 to 4 times more likely to become abuser involved or in an abusive relationship. So we can see how devastating this really is. And when we're not involved in it or don't have experience with being impacted by it, oftentimes we're just kind of oblivious to these things happening, but it happens a lot. And we get phone calls from the police department, we get phone calls from parents, we get phone calls from the survivors themselves most of the time, but oftentimes it's from outsiders. And it's really a sad situation, but I'm just really glad that Voices Against Violence and other domestic violence organizations are in place to be able to assist these survivors with moving forward with their lives. There were 17 fatalities in 2017 in Idaho due to domestic violence. That's 17 too many. And 6 were in the Magic Valley. So what can you do? Well, we can learn about domestic violence and who it affects and how it affects them and how it affects the children, how it affects parents. We're all touched by, in some way, shape, or form, we're all touched by domestic violence, whether it's because it's a neighbor or you've witnessed something or you heard craziness going on next door. We can all be impacted by it. So there's several things you can do. You can volunteer. We always love to have volunteers to help out with different projects and different things we're doing. You can donate. That can be financial donations, that can be assisting us or referring us to different grant opportunities. You can donate furniture, you can donate dishes and food and baby clothes and all sorts of things, men's clothing, women's clothing. We take all sorts of donations and it's very, very helpful. And you can imagine all of the donations we've received have really helped us to outfit the new shelter because they're individual units. So of course we needed dishes and glasses and washers and dryers, all sorts of things for the new shelter units. And because of the community's generous donations, we are able to not have to purchase all of those items. Some things, of course, we did purchase, but other things we were able to pull from our donations. So that's very, very helpful. And if any of you just happen to be really good at teaching and helping to inspire, we are open to offering different classes to our survivors. We have a couple of members of the community that are great with teaching self-care and professional, like personal development and things like that. So we're offering some of those classes not only to our staff, but also to the survivors. So if you happen to be really good in a certain area, please feel free to call me so that we can schedule a training that you can provide. That will be most helpful. Normally presentations are done by myself or Noemi. Noemi is fabulous. She's our client and community director. So she handles most presentations. I do a few of them. If you want to put anything in our newsletter, I'm the one that handles the newsletter. And if you're not receiving the Voices Against Violence newsletter, you can go to our website, vavmv.org, vavmagicvalley.org, and you can subscribe. So that way you can stay abreast of everything we're doing through our newsletter. And then I do a blog as well. And for volunteer opportunities, you'll want to contact Kristen at vavmv.org. Our new mantra is, we hear you, we really care, we can help, we are Voices Against Violence. Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
I'm almost in tears. As a fellow Ohioan, let me invite you and hug you in this community.
Thank you.
I've been here 50 years. I hope you'll be here 50 years. And I hope that we get to know you better. This is the best thing I've ever heard at Rotary.
Wow, thank you.
Security measures we have in place in case the abuser shows up, or like schools trying to get to the children, or I witnessed that, and I don't know how they find out, but
Right, yeah, that does happen sometimes, and to be honest, it's very hard to police that. In the more severe cases, we do involve the police, so they're aware of what's going on, and sometimes it might mean extra patrolling in a certain area because they've gotten several calls or things like that. We do have cameras around the community center, so we keep the doors locked, so you can't just walk into the community center. You have to actually ring the doorbell and be invited in. And as far as the new shelter units, we just opened them October 1st, so we're putting cameras up so that we can see what's going on. And of course, the shelter is in an anonymous location for the safety of our clients. And so we try to keep it that way, but there's always situations where a survivor will actually tell the abuser where they're sheltered. And we certainly encourage them not to do that for their own safety and the safety of others, but there's no way that we can guarantee that. So we try to keep it as anonymous as possible. And as far as our new shelter facilities in the Rupert area, Rupert is so small that it makes it even more difficult for people in the community to not know where the shelter is. Of course, there's not any signage or anything like that. So we just do everything we possibly can to keep our survivors safe, but to help them to learn how to keep themselves safe as well. Yes.
You may have covered it and I missed it, but when you take a mother to the shelter and she has little children, what happens to the children?
In most instances, the children go with the mom. And we, if they're school age, then we help work with them to get them re-registered for school or transfer schools or whatever may be necessary. There are some instances where a custody battle may ensue because of the domestic violence, and perhaps the mom is filing for divorce. We do offer legal support services. So we actually provide financial support. We work with legal aid in addition to hiring a private attorney if we have a rather complicated like custody situation. And we'll pay for that for them. Yes.
How are you finding your demand for your service? Does it fluctuate? Is it trending up? What do you?
Well, prior to COVID, now I'll say since COVID, there's been more instances of domestic violence. And you can only imagine, we were all shut in for such a long period of time. And survivors were shut in with their abusers. And so even if it wasn't necessarily physical abuse, as someone else mentioned, there are instances of emotional abuse and mental abuse. And when you're stuck in a situation and you can't physically leave and you have nowhere to go or you don't know where to go, you tend to stay in that situation, and it doesn't usually get better, it gets worse. So since COVID, there's definitely been an increase, but now that things are starting to kind of level out as far as COVID, now we're seeing just a steady number of clients. We typically have about 15 families in shelter on any given day. Yes.
So you may have mentioned this, but what's your funding sources, or do you charge for your services?
So no, we don't charge for our services at all. We have a variety of funding sources. Most of it is federal funding through VOCA, the Victims of Crime Act. So we have probably, well, now it's not half. We've acquired a lot more funding in the past 90 days, so we're excited about that, which has allowed for the expansion and the new shelter, et cetera. But at least a third of our funding comes from VOCA. And then we have funding from the Idaho Housing Finance Agency. We have some funding from United Way. We have some funding from the city. We have some fund. So we have funding, all different sources of government. And then we have donations. We have big events. We have an event coming up, Hope Floats, our benefit auction. That's our largest fundraising event where we usually raise between $100,000 and $150,000. So we have that as well. And right now we're operating, just to give you an idea, we're operating on a little over a $1.5 million budget. Yes.
So when is your fundraiser, Hope Floats?
Hope Floats is Thursday, October 20th. Coming up.
And where's it at?
And it is at the Stone House. And if you want tickets, you can go online to vav.org, and right on the landing page, you can go right to the Hope Floats tab. Any other questions? Yes.
Where do you take donations in kind, like clothes and stuff like that?
That would be at our administrative offices and community center at 302 2nd Avenue South. Okay.
So are those items gifted to the people, or they're available for them if they need them?
They're actually available to them almost in the form of a store, only they don't have to pay anything. So we have in our offices is a house. And in the basement is our resource center. So it's all set up and organized and divided. We have food in one section, and we have clothing in another section, and we have personal items in another section, pots and pans in different sections. And sometimes we get things like breast pumps and the diaper pail things. It's been a long time since I did diaper pails, but we have all sorts of items. So the survivor schedules an appointment with Amy, our resource manager, and she comes and goes shopping. So we give her a box and say, have at it. And she goes shopping, and the clothing is divided for adults and children in the different sizes and colors and all of that. Amy does an amazing job at keeping the resource center organized, and they literally go through and shop for what they want and never have to pay a dime.
Was there any limitation? Clothing, food, how about furniture?
Clothing, food, furniture, appliances, all, I mean, not like stoves and refrigerators, but small kitchen appliances, toaster ovens, toasters, things like that. Any other questions? All right, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for that presentation. In honor of our presentation today, we'll donate $10 to the Magic Valley Children's Museum. If you all want to stand and join me in the four-way test. Number 1.
This is the truth.
Number 2. Number 3.
Build goodwill and better friendships.
And number 4. Go have a good day.